نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. The concept of death committee, if there are certain conditions fulfilled, would be okay. But what makes it a bit odd is, number one, if it is a committee in a sense that people pool their money, and if they die and get some support, they're lucky. And there will be certain people who may die very quickly before they have invested anything, or they've invested a lot and they didn't get that much. And there may be a limitation, a certain, conditions put in place to make it okay and permissible. Just to have a statement about death committee being halal or not. Generally, it is not, if it is like insurance, which is the common understanding. However, the scholars have come up with certain ways of sorting it out, which is alhamdulillah good. Most important thing to remember before we go into those conditions is the fact that it is a responsibility of the community. As a community, we are responsible to look after. This is fardu kifaya. Even if the family can't afford, the community should support that. The relatives initially, if the family, they can't do it, then the community, and then the wider community. So there has to be a proper support for them. So the issue is real and there is a problem, but something which is fardu kifaya, we can't just uh, put the onus or the responsibility on a weak person who might not be able to afford it. But anyway, given the circumstances, and there's a leeway, one can try and get those conditions fulfilled, inshallah ta'ala. So, for example, the contribution should be not as a uh, payment or a money for getting it back in return. Rather, it should be lillah. It should be a donation, a gift. So we said, we just contributing to this nice, plan. This is a community work, for example. So there must be a representative who is collecting the money. Could be more than one, few people who would just and obviously reliable people should be keeping an eye on that, and they keep the funds protected. All transparency has to be there. Nothing untowards for anyone to make them, people can team up and get the benefit to their relatives, friends. So there's a lot of favoritism that happens anyway. So it has to be very, very transparent so that it doesn't cause any altercations and rifts and problem among the community people. So something that was done with a good intention to begin with actually lead them to have a complete breakup and the shahna and hiqd and bughd or inad and the split. And so to do something which is at the most permissible and maybe mustahab, if that is then, and have that haram as a result, is obviously not a wise thing to do, because it would become a business. Unfortunately, in future, the way we are as a whole behaving and going down with our uh, spirituality, with our connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it will become a like who is the head and who decides, and then people will start conning others for this, unfortunately. But anyway, that's a fear. So, but inshallah ta'ala, as long as people are sensible. The trouble is with the committee head or the main people, when it becomes a big thing, then it becomes a big problem. And then the who would inherit after the main person dies, or the committee dies, or those people die, and then someone else from the same family that just continue to. Obviously, one can opt for election, and then again, who elect for who, what sort of people are there. There's the people who could maneuver and then do a very good political game there. So unfortunately, but that's the reality, the way we live in. Even the masjid committees, even the all the good things that we do, they are always something for the fact that we are not addressing those core issues of spiritual upliftment, or outwardly we are doing a lot more, but inwardly not sure how much. But anyway, may Allah make it easy. That's just uh, reservation or apprehension rather than a blame on someone. But and I'm including myself in all those ill, that has crept in the ummah as a whole. So we should all be working hard, even if we're not directly involved in any. Alhamdulillah, by the grace of Allah, may Allah preserve and save us all. But it is not us and them. It is not me or you. It is just قُلْ هُوَ مِنْ عِنْدِ أَنفُسِكُمْ. We are all together as ummah, as humanity. So if there was any problem in human being, we have not corrected it, we have not addressed it, we have not made dua for that, we have not been sensible. So even if you're not directly involved, indirectly we share some responsibility. At least we should feel that way as a committee, as a community, inshallah ta'ala. And the donors, they continue to be the possessor of that. Now they might be able to ask, they should be able to ask that money back. It's a voluntarily collected pool. Okay. And so a representative should be able to, spend the money on the costs for the family donated. And so those are the conditions. And again, it's difficult, but inshallah ta'ala, if people work that way, there could be a few more, inshallah ta'ala. But generally, it should be okay as long as we can handle it properly. But as a community, it's our responsibility. But inshallah ta'ala, with that, it should be a bit fine. May Allah make us the people of uh, doing infaq, helping each other out. But obviously, ground reality is that everyone is a bit tight. Inshallah ta'ala.